Greg, you've got tomorrow night down as another night.
No.
More nights off.
We'll see at the end of tonight how we're doing.
Okay, but it's an okay night.
Yeah, but we won't.
No, tomorrow
County
night, so
board.
tomorrow
Yeah,
night.
yeah. Thank you, thank you. Kelly thinks she doesn't listen
I'm on
when
it.
she's.
It's in and out, but it's in there somewhere.
All right, YouTube's good.
Got so much stuff.
I think it's in there.
We're good. YouTube's good.
That's what I have in my head.
Yeah.
Live. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Those of you joining us, tonight is a continued session of Shady Oak Wind 2 LLC's petition for 28 special use permits, number 20P 1552 in Ms. Duffy's zoning office. When we left off last session, the applicant and interested parties had finished presenting evidence. Closing arguments, closing statements, public comments were heard. And tonight begins the board's fact-finding and recommendation session. At this stage, the only participation is from the Lee County Zoning Board of Appeals members. Gentlemen, you are about to consider first finding of facts and thereafter recommendations to the Lee County Board for Shady Oak 2's petition for special use permits to construct a wind energy conversion system in your county. Your board rules provide that your meeting will be governed by the Robert's Rules of Order. These axioms have been in use for well over 100 years. While at first blush they may seem to be some kind of unnecessarily rigid measures that only get in the way, the reverse is actually true. Correctly followed, these guidelines ensure a fair and civilized forum for all members' viewpoints to be addressed and issues to be decided. They are in place to provide a step-by-step formalized process by which you as a board can methodically go about your business at hand. Accordingly, I hope you agree that we should try to adhere to them to the best of our collective abilities. I want to highlight a few things. While I'm present to assist you in the mechanical operation of your decision-making and have given you somewhat of a start by the way of suggested areas to address in the alternative, I hope you understand that I cannot help you to make any substantive decisions in any fashion. This means that I am not permitted to direct your attention to any issues or evidence that I personally feel you might be overlooking or misinterpreting. The substantive decisions you make as the ZBA are yours alone to make. From this point going forward, I'll skip that. Hoping you understand all the reasons for it, I will be politely assertive that there be no general discussions on any substantive matter and that any debate be only on a pending motion. Please, when making a motion, state it in exact words. This ensures that all the members that I, your secretary, and the public know precisely what is brought to the floor. This is extremely important. Doing so eliminates confusion and the corrosion of your decision making. If a motion is made and receives no second, it becomes out of order, and the floor is again open for another motion. If a motion does receive a second, it is the subject of debate. The movement is bound by the rules to vote affirmatively for his motion. The person seconding a motion is not required to vote for it. After a motion has been made, I will take the time to display it by screen sharing, I hope. It is then immediately a pending motion and is ready for a second. If it receives a second, it is, like I said, the subject of debate. If a member wishes to amend a pending motion, he of course may do so. If that kind of motion receives a second, it becomes the immediately pending motion for debate, and the question becomes whether or not the main motion should be amended or not. There is such a thing as a motion to amend. However, I strongly urge avoiding the machinations of that complicated process. During the debate, unless a motion is made to extend or limit it, each member has 2 5-minute opportunities for his remarks on the motion. I will call on the movement for his remarks first. Thereafter, if you wish to be heard on the motion, please make yourself known when I ask the board generally if there are members other than the movement, if there are further comment on the pending motion. However, the order I call on members will not strictly be first come, first served, as I will try to alternate between members wishing to speak. Once either each member has used up the limits of his debate time, or I determine there is no further debate to be had, I will put the question for a vote. I will do so by verbally announcing the pending motion. I will indicate the manner of the vote and the number of members needed to carry the motion. Robert's rules contain many other procedural maxims. We will deal with any of those more infrequent matters if they arise. I'm sure we can move through this process in an organized and efficient manner. So, the floor is open for motion. And I gotta kind of turn my head around. The floor is open for motions. If there are none, we're going to close and there won't be any fact finding. So,
So, question,
yes,
you want all the exhibits listed and entered?
I don't want anything. You guys, it's up to you.
But isn't that already record? I mean,
Yeah,
that's,
but the county board won't know that unless you put it in a fact finding and recommendations so that they can see it. Remember, this is a report to the county board.
right. So if I read all this, then how are you going to report it?
You watch. You watch.
You're not gonna type it like-
You watch. All you gotta do is say, it helps me if you're gonna use some of my alternatives to give me the number so I can find it.
Go ahead. You can take the procedural stuff, I'll take it.
Judge, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay? Call my attention to a number so I know.
Number one,
Okay. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh, I'm sorry, that's my fault. That was a technical mistake. Oh my God, I scooped it up already.
now make a comment.
No.
Turn this right here.
Mike, wait a minute. Okay, don't leave, please don't leave. Where's the screen? Where's the screen? There, okay, it's down at the bottom, all of a sudden it moved. All right. Can you gentlemen see that one?
You can be a little, I mean, barely.
Little,
I can read it, but do a little bigger, down in the right-hand corner, you see where it's 100%.
yeah. So go to 200 or just go up the percentage right there. What do you think, Glenn, 150?
I was gonna say 120, 125, is sufficient.
How about that?
That's great.
Okay. Brad, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Judge, I'd like to make a motion to the Lee County Zoning Board of Appeals. Wherein after the ZBA, the zoning board, finds that on March 6, 2020, Shady Oaks 2 LLC, herein after the petitioner, the developer, Shady Oaks 2, or Liberty Power, is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Algonquin Power Company, doing business as Liberty Power, filed a petition with the Lee County Zoning Administration Office, which was numbered 20-P-1562, requesting a special use permit to construct and operate a wind energy conversion system. Hereinafter WEX, our wind farm system. All on parcels of real estate zone Ag 1 within Wyoming and Brooklyn townships. Further, the ZBA finds that, number one, it is being proposed that the aforementioned special use permit would be for the following structures. A, 28 wind turbine generators on 24 different parcels of real estate. B, 1 electrical substation on 1 parcel, and C, 1 temporary laydown or batch plant on 1 parcel. Number 2, following the submission of the application, proper notice was published in the Dixon Telegraph on May 12, 2020. The Mendota Reporter on May 13, 2020. The Chicago Road Shopper on May 21, 2020.
Yep, got it.
And in the Ogle County Life during the week beginning May 21, 2020. In addition, zoning officer D. Duffy went to extraordinary lengths to publish continually updated notices on her department's pages of the Lee County website and post the same throughout the area in which the proposed development would be located. Number 3. Furthermore, certified mailings of the notice were sent to property owners inside and within 1/2 mile of the project boundary, completing the required notification. Number 4, prior to the hearing, the board, under the authority provided by its own rules, engaged the services of Tim Slavin, a retired circuit judge, as the facilitator for the proceedings. Number 5, the first stage of the public hearing regarding the petition for the special use permit was for your Lee County ZBA to accept testimony, hear arguments, and receive public comment. Number 6, the evidentiary portion of the hearing began on June 4th, 2020, and concluded on June 10th, 2020, consisting of 4 total sessions, all beginning at 7 p.m. and all heard in the committee room attached to the former main courtroom on the 3rd floor of the old Lee County Courthouse. The totality of these sessions of the first stage comprised in total approximately 6 hours of hearing time. 6A, during the hearing process, the proceedings adhered to the existing state of Illinois guidelines for public gatherings. Number 1, appropriate social distancing was maintained. 2, no more than 10 people were allowed to be in any space at any given time. 3, proceedings were broadcast on YouTube, during which interested parties could see and hear the proceedings take place in real time. Number 4, interested parties were given the opportunity to remotely and virtually participate in the process. 5, video conferencing on the Zoom platform through the use of a computer, or by teleconferencing on the Zoom platform through the use of a phone, or by appearing at the Old Lee County Courthouse in person, listening by YouTube in the 1st floor lobby, and for questions, testimony, or public comments, proceeding in a staggered queue to the 3rd floor podium set up in the hearing. Paragraph 7. Over the course of the first stage, everyone, the petitioner and members of the public, hereinafter called interested parties, were given a complete and fair opportunity to be heard. Each was given a chance to present evidence, including witnesses and exhibits, cross-examine the witnesses of others, and to present the closing argument or statement, either orally or in writing. Number 8, therefore, your ZBA considered its findings of fact and recommendations over the course of 2 sessions. June 17th and maybe later. Covering a little over 3 hours in total. Number 9, the entirety of the proceedings were taken by a certified shorthand reporter and subsequently transcribed. Number 10, we, the members of the Lee County Zoning Board of Appeals, heard all the evidence produced and examined each of these days. So that's my motion.
Okay. Do I hear a second to the motion?
I second.
Hearing a second, the,
You didn't change the date. Is that what you're gonna tell us to do? You didn't change the
I
date.
can't. I thought I could do.
Okay.
I have to change it later. You can't apparently share the screen and make corrections. I can't do it. I thought I could, but I can't. I tried. The cursor goes there, but nothing happens. So the floor is open for debate. Mr. Pratt, it's your question, or your motion in the comments on your motion.
Maybe it's pretty self-explanatory.
Any other members wishing to address the motion? I'm looking for a hand raise or a grunt. Mr. Burrow.
On number 8, do we have to leave that out until we're done to get the proper date and times?
Yeah, and I was gonna suggest you, at the end, you give the chair the authority to sign the fact finding and recommendations, having filled in the correct information. Because you can't tell right tonight.
Is that the date we were talking about?
I was talking about it. Or,
Window recorder?
Okay. Any other debate? Seeing none, I'm going to put the question. Very often most often, I read the entire motion, but this is, I assume, fairly non-controversial. I'm not going to read the motion unless any member wants me to do so. So I will put the question. Passing the motion requires a vote. The vote will be by voice. It will take a majority to pass the motion. Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by nay. The motion is carried unanimously. Okay, the floor is back open for debate. Mr. Hughes.
I'd like to make a motion. Number 2,
Okay.
regarding witnesses. The Lee County Zoning Board of Appeals finds that 8 people took the witness stand and 2 individuals were called to the stand twice over the hearing sessions. Those witnesses, in order of their appearance, with a very brief summary of what they had to say, include as follows. 1, Ms. D. Duffy, the County Planning and Zoning Officer, testified as to the extraordinary efforts made by her and her staff to continually publish and post notices for this Zoning Board of Appeals hearing throughout its COVID-19 scheduling difficulties. 2, Ms. Laura McLeod of Liberty Power, project manager of Shady Oaks LLC, testified to an overview of proposed wind energy development and her opinion as to the Lee County benefits thereof. 3, Mr. Sean Fairfield of Liberty Power testified.
Steve.
Yes,
Steve, you got Steve?
it's Sean.
Oh. Well, all of a sudden I can make the corrections.
Do you want to change Laura to Lauren?
What?
Lauren? Yes, it was Lauren, I'm sorry. Yes, that should be Lauren.
Got it?
Mr. Sean Fairfield of Liberty Power testified during 2 different sessions regarding structural specifics of the 2 possible models of the WTGs within the proposed wind energy development. His opinion of the benefits of the project to the Lee County community, Liberty Power's intended protocol to handle shadow flicker complaints, and to the hours of construction activity. 4, Mr. Mike Maroos of Maroos and Company was offered by petitioner, and he testified as to his expert opinion regarding the effect of the proposed development would have on property values in the area. 5, Mr. Chris Howell, project manager with Burns and McDonald, testified regarding the noise modeling study of the proposed development and his resulting opinion of the impacts on the 509 identified residence receptors. 6, Mr. Aaron Anderson, Director of Renewable Energy with Burns and McDonald, testified regarding the shadow flicker modeling analysis of the proposed development and his resulting opinion of the impact on the same 509 residence receptors. 7, Mr. Jeff Zerpoli, Director of Ecological Services with Schoener Environmental, testified as to any possible environmental consequences to natural resources of the proposed development and the conservation measures the developer intends to use to address any issues. 8, Ms. Karen McGinnis, who living in Compton, Illinois, and at its nearest point, 2.6 miles from the Whitfield boundary of the proposed development, described experiences from previous WECS developments in her area, wherein a rotor blade flicker crossed the roadway on which she was driving, and a concurrent repower startup and a brownout occurred in the family business shop. She also noted that Mr. Morose matched fair analysis did not include any Compton residential sales, and she testified that there were 139 WTGs within 5 miles of Compton. That's my motion.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing a second, the floor is open for debate. Mr. Hughes, it's your motion. You have the first opportunity to make any comments regarding it.
No additional comments.
Any other board member wish to address this motion?
Clarification.
Yes.
Number 2, project manager of Shady Oaks. Could we put 2 behind that? I don't know if she's a project manager.
You take that friendly amendment, Mr. Hughes?
Absolutely.
And I figured out how to make the corrections on the screen. I don't know if they're going to save, but I can show them. All right. Any other member wishing to debate this motion? All right, hearing none. I will put the question. This is another motion that I don't feel I should have to repeat. It's probably pretty non-controversial. To adopt the motion requires a majority of those voting. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. The motion is carried. Give me just a minute. I'm going to try something. Yeah, it says, okay. Let me do one more thing so I can keep up now. All right, the floor is again open for motions.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Burrow.
uh, I move that on number 3 exhibits, the Lee County Zoning Board of Appeals finds the following exhibits were admitted into evidence by the facilitator and considered by the board. Number 1, Commissioners' exhibits. A, Commissioner exhibit number 1, a group of letters of support from local trade unions. B, Commissioner number 2, P number 2, a group of letters of support from local organizations. 1C, P number 3, a group of photos of scenes from the village of Paw Paw. 1D, Petitioner number 4, a certified copy of a resolution of the Paw Paw Village Board granting the proposed development encroachment into its jurisdictional 1.5 mile radius and authorization to enter into a community benefit agreement. E, P number 5, compilation of hard copies of the PowerPoint presentations used as demonstrative evidence for the testimony of various witnesses. F, P number 6, a three-ring binder containing the Liberty Powers petition and a compendium of supporting documents. Number 2, interested parties exhibits. A, interest party number 1, a group exhibit submitted by Karen McInnes detailing the height growth of local WEX, WTGs, WECs, WTGs, STGs overtime. B, IP number 2, demonstrative site schematic of a 2003 Mendota Hills WTG as compared to the Pro Shady Oaks 2 Vestas model submitted by Karen McInnes. C, IP number 3, the schematic demonstrating the growth of 4 local developments WTGs over time. 2D, IP number 4, letter from Jack Baranek. E, IP number 5, a journal article from www.frontierin.org submitted by Jack Baranek. That's the motion.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing a second, debate on the motion. Mr. Burrow, any comments you want to make on?
No.
Okay. Any other board member want to comment on the pending motion? Seeing no indication to do so, I will put the question. Question being, I won't read this one either. It's got to be fairly non-controversial. That you gentlemen can all see it on the board. The public can see it. So I will put the question. To adopt this motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by nay. The motion is unanimously adopted. Another reason there's different colors up there so I can find the things I have to address. Okay, floor is again open. Yes, sir, Mr. Pratt. Call my attention to, no, unless it's your own motion.
Number 4,
Number 4, okay.
closing statement. The Lee County Zoning Board of Appeals finds that following the close of the testimonial phase, the board heard or read what could be categorized as closing arguments or public comment from the following. Number 1, Ms. Courtney Kennedy, attorney for petitioner, to advance all the reasons shown during the hearing as to why the Lee County DBA should recommend to the Lee County Board that Shady Oaks Two LLC's petition should be approved and special use permits be issued. Number two, Ms. Karen Ennis, an interested party. Him reasons why the Lee County ZBA should recommend to the Lee County Board not to grant Shady Oaks Two LLC's petition. Number three, Mr. Jack Bernanke, an interested party, submitted a letter supplemented by a journal article from www.frontiersim.org regarding his reasons why the Lee County ZBA should not recommend approval of the petition to the Lee County
That's your motion?
Board. That's my motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing a second. Debate on the motion. Mr. Pratt, it's your motion. Anything you want to comment about it?
No.
Any other board member? Seeing no indication, I will put the question, and again, it's one of those I'm not going to bore everybody with reading. You can see it on the board. Adoption of the motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. The motion is unanimously adopted. Yes, sir. Mr. Hughes, I think.
Facilitator. Relative to conformity,
That number
5.
Yeah.
The Lee County Zoning Board of Appeals finds that in Shady Oaks 2 LLC's petition for a special use permit, petitioner has stated that it will be bound by any and all proposals and representations in its petition and made under oath at the public hearing before the Lee County CBA.
That's your motion? Okay. Second, I hear a second.
Second.
Hearing a second. Debate on the motion. It's your motion. Mr. Hughes, anything you want to supplement?
Nothing.
Debate from other board members by raising hand. You get to me, have something to say. Seeing none, I will put the question. The question being put is whether the Lee County Board of Appeals finds that in Shady Oak 2 LLC's petition for special use permit, the petitioner has stated that it will be bound by any and all proposals and representation in its petition and made under oath at the public hearing before the Lee County ZBA. Adoption of the motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. Hearing none, once again, we have a unanimous adoption of a motion. Floor is again open.
Mr. Chairman, number
No.
6. Move to include number 6.
You may.
The Lee County ZBA finds the petitioner is in compliance with the current Lee County zoning ordinance 10-15-15, section C for wind energy systems because it, 1, shows property lines of the proposed site of construction, section C1. 2, shows the proposed location of the WEX, section, in parentheses, section 2. 3, shows the location description of all structures located on the property where the WEX site is proposed, section 3C3. Under that 3, there's number 1, I, including that it will utilize up to 12 of the Siemens Gamescale 114 2.625 MWWTG model and up to 16 of the Vestas 150 5.6 MWWTG model in this WEX development. 4, shows the location of all above ground utility lines within a radius equal to 2 times the height of proposed wets, section C4. 5, shows the location of all underground utility lines in the property, section C5. Contains dimensional representation of the structural components of the tower construction, including the base and footings. That's a typo there. Section C6. 7, contains schematic of the electrical systems associated with WEX, including all existing and proposed electrical connections, section C7. Number 8, contains manufacturer specifications and installation and operation instructions or specific WEX design information, section C8. And 9, contains a certification by a registered professional engineer that the tower design is sufficient to withstand wind load requirements for structure as defined by FOCA, POCA, section 9. Judge, that's the motion.
Okay, do I hear a second? I heard a second. Floor is open for debate of the motion, and yours, Mr. Burrow, so you may go for it.
The only question of number
Well, it's your
9,
motion, so, but go ahead.
uh, is, I didn't look this up, but anybody else remember as far as the engineer specs on 9, does that have to be done by building permit time, or is that actually included in the presentation?
Any other board member comment?
As I remember the testimony, that was to be provided before we started construction.
That's what I was thinking, that we didn't have it yet.
So you want
Yeah, maybe leave number 9 out then.
to, okay, got a second to the motion, and then on the other hand, it's your motion. All right, I'm gonna remove number 9 if, and with that removed, Mr. Burrow, you want to make a new motion that excludes number 9?
Could we alter them?
Oh, boy. Well,
Push on do.
Yeah, just
push on one.
Go on, five.
Top left,
Just push on here.
go back. There's an arrow in the back. Top left, right next to the file.
Oh, I know that, but see, then it's
Oh,
gonna, then it's
okay.
gonna go back to the last time
No,
before
it'll
I-
just undo the last thing you
Last
did.
one.
Oh, it'll just do the last thing I did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, do it again.
that brought the 9 back.
I didn't know. Learn something, thanks. That's gonna help my word processing in the future. Yes, Mr. Burrow. We're gonna start again. You make a motion.
Well,
I am removing that motion from the floor, and you may make another motion now.
for number
I'm
9,
gonna have you start again.
on number 9 only,
Nope, from the top.
I gotta read everything.
Yep.
Okay, have very many counters. I was trying to reword number 9. All right, we'll leave out number 9 for now.
Excuse me. Since Ms. Duffy is nearby, can we get a clarification on that? Because as I remember.
Sure.
As I remember to the testimony, we didn't have the spec sheet.
You can't ask Dee about the testimony, but you can ask her about some of the
But that's what I was
procedures.
saying. Do we have those, the wind load requirement information?
All right, we're gonna take a break. Let's everybody, take a break and let's all reconnoiter here. We'll take a break for 5 minutes. I'd suggest you might want to look in the petition, see what's there. I mean, I'm not saying it is. That's why Dean? What's the date on that Mendota report?
Look on page 7 of the decision.
11.
Thank you.
It would be letter H.
For some reason I couldn't
Well, it
make
says
changes.
certification by, but I was trying to remember from his testimony whether that had been received yet.
Okay.
That's one of the requirements.
Sure.
But it says, it's a subsection, paragraph 4, which says the petition will submit at or prior to the hearing before the zoning. So they have to present that before the zoning.
And that's what I was trying to.
So the question comes, did they? And we, you know, they could have. Be without us knowing.
Well, if it's included in the book, which is presentation. That's what I want to see, that's finally the book.
I think I should.
Kelly,
She's looking at it. No, she's right.
but can you tell us whether they testified to that?
Did you get the transcript? Did you get the transcript sent to you?
Yeah,
Okay, you can, what did you know which,
no, I don't have it with me.
but the witness, you know which witness it was?
Ron Fairfield.
Let me see. I don't know.
This is like page 28 of the application. Following the granting of special use petition, professional engineer shall certify as part of the building permit certification foundation, Howard County, Wax Practice, standards with soil and climate conditions. On page 28, it says following the granting of special use petition, professional engineer shall certify. That's the closest I can
Yeah,
find or remember. It's in page 28. That seems like similar to what he had said, but I can't.
Which section you in?
In the application, page 28, that still doesn't, it still leaves open the question, but it seems to confirm what we thought was that we didn't have the actual certification yet.
But it does confirm that they have to have one. before
Yeah,
they can go
And
to
that's,
building.
and that's what I'm thinking, is that wording on number 9 really needs to be changed to
Certification by a registered professional engineer will have to be provided before.
it's just going through shows and contains, I think.
No, I didn't.
Maybe change to must show prior to construction, the certification.
Remember, I phrased this in the alternative, guys. That's why it said does or does not contain.
I'm thinking so we could just say, but those not.
Does not, and then maybe include that in the construction aspect.
We don't have to say that. And it has to be done.
Well, remember, you got two parts, finding facts and then recommendations. You can also say does not, I mean, if you find it does not contain when you get the recommendation, but you gotta make yourself know. That you wanna put before the Lee County Board grants the petition, it should. I'm trying to find the ordinance.
Can I just change that to does not without reviewing the whole motion?
We got enough confusion now.
I'm not gonna leave everything alone, just do not, does not.
Let me just find one thing. Let's read. Read your ordinance. I'm just telling you what your ordinance says, and I'm gonna say it out loud. C, application requirements. An application for a permit to build a wind energy system shall include the following. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, certification by a registered professional engineer. Put it out.
I think we've got an answer, but that would be the application for the permit.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that it was necessarily testified to or available at this time, prior to the application.
This has to be the.
This portion, on page 28,
Yeah.
Yes.
this was admitted to evidence though, so you can take that as evidence. And under 10-15-15, it just says that there needs to be one done, it doesn't say it has to be prior to it.
That's what I was saying earlier, that was on page 28, the closest I could find. It says following the granting of special use petition. So in the application, it says it will be done after the special use, and in the application requirements, it's supposed to be. So in this case, we have to indicate it wasn't contained in the facts, it wasn't contained in the facts, but we'll have
The
to.
certification is not correct.
Yeah,
I'm with you. Yeah.
so we'll just have to address that in the approvals or the additional.
What do you think? We should put does not
Yep.
enter.
Yep,
No, it's up to you. It's going to be your motion. You decide.
I mean, since it's part of the application process, I think it ought to be addressed. We'll have to deal with the miscellaneous related.
Pick yourself on that.
Yeah,
Are you, I think I found a transcript, I think. But like components, like kind replacements, that,
no,
okay.
Professional engineer certificate.
Yeah. that was- well, I can tell you right now.
You gotta do a few more.
What you said?
You gotta do a few more experience.
Well, yeah, well, I know that right there, but I talked about, I remember.
Okay, we're back up live, Alan. With us? Okay. The floor is open. You've withdrawn your previous motion, is that right, Mr. Burrow? Is that right?
Yes,
Okay. Floor is open for motion.
I will. Can I move again?
Yes, you certainly may.
I move on number 6. The Lee County ZBA Hines Petition is in compliance with the current Lee County zoning ordinance 10-15-15, section C for wind energy systems because, number 1, it shows the property line proposed site of construction, section C1. Number 2, shows the proposed location of the WEX, section C2. Number 3 shows the location and description of all structures located on the property where the WEX site is proposed, section C3. Sub number 1, including up that will utilize up to 12 of the Siemens DeMossa 114 2.625 MW WAG model and up to 16 of the Vestas 150 5.6 MW WIG model in this WEX development. Number 4 shows the location of the above-ground utility lines within a radius equal to 2 times the height of proposed WEX section C4. 5 shows the location of all underground utility lines on the property, section C5. 6 contains dimensional representation of the structural components of the tower construction, including the base and footings, section C6. 7 contains a schematic of electrical systems associated with the WEX, including all existing and proposed electrical connections, section C7. Number 8 contains manufacturer specifications and installation and operation instructions or specific WEX design information, section C8. Number 9 does not contain certification by registered professional engineer that the tower design is sufficient to withstand wind load requirements for structures as defined by VOCA section 9. That includes the motion.
Do I hear a second to the entirety of the new motion? Vote, here a second. All right, debate on the motion. Back to where you started, sorry. Your motion, Mr. Burrow, any other comments you want to make about it?
No, sir.
Any other board member?
yes. While I believe that we need to keep item 9 in there as it's stated, identifying the fact that the application does not contain the registered professional engineer certification. I believe that based on that, we ought to possibly amend the heading or the beginning of that motion to allow for that, to make notice of that exception.
Okay, are you making a motion to amend?
Yes.
Your motion is to amend how? You don't have to read the whole thing, just the line or paragraph.
And I think it would be the opening line, and I think it's easier if I read the whole thing. The Lee County ZBA finds that the petition is in compliance with the current Lee County zoning ordinance 10-15-15, section C, for wind energy, except for application requirement number 9, which is yet to be addressed.
May I make a friendly suggestion?
Please.
Lee County ZBA finds, with the exception of paragraph 9 below.
That's fine. That's right, originally wanted to put it, I couldn't get the wording. It was easier to put the wording at the end. Thank you.
Excuse me, while you watch me perform my version of word processing. All right, Mr. Hughes, it's your motion. Does that look like how you want it to read?
Yes, sir.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
40 seconds. Now remember, this is on the motion to amend. It's not on the main motion yet. It's just whether the motion, Mr. Burrow's motion, should be amended to add essentially the clause now in the first sentence. Debate on that only. Hearing none, I will put the question. The question being put is whether the main motion, Mr. Burrow's motion, should be amended to read the only difference in paragraph 1, that the Lee County ZBA finds that, with the exception of paragraph number 9 following, the petition is in compliance with the current Lee County zoning ordinance 10-15-15, section C, for wind energy systems because it. All in favor of that motion to amend signify by, the vote to adopt the motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor of amending the motion as proposed signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. All right, the motion is amended. That brings back to the floor the main motion, Mr. Burrow's motion, and I will go around the horn again. Mr. Burrow, anything you want to add to your motion?
No.
Okay. Any other member wanting to debate it? This is why we follow Robert's rules, I guess, a little more strictly. All right, I'm going to put the question. The question being put is whether the Lee County ZBA finds that, with the exception of paragraph number 9 following, the petition is in compliance with the current Lee County zoning ordinance 10-15-15, section C, for wind energy systems because it shows the property lines of the proposed site of construction, section C.1, shows the proposed location of the WEX, section C.2, shows the location and description of all structures located on the property, where the WEC site is proposed, section C.3, include, subsection I, including that it will utilize up to 12 of the Siemens Gamesa 114 2.625 megawatt WTG models and up to 16 of the Vestas 150 5.6 megawatt WTG model in this WEX development. 4, shows the location of all above-ground utility lines within a radius equal to 2 times the height of the proposed WEX. Section C.4 shows the location of all underground utility lines on the property. Section C.5 contains a dimensional representation of the structural components of the tower construction, including the base and footings. Section C.6 contains a schematic of electrical system associated with WEX, including all existing and proposed electrical connections. Section C.7 contains manufacturer specifications and installation and operation instructions or specific WEX design information. Section C.8 does not contain a certification by a registered professional engineer that the tower design is sufficient to withstand wind load requirements for structures as defined by BOCA, section C.9. Adoption of the motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. The motion is now carried. And let me clean up my mess again. Otherwise, I will forget that it's there. Okay, thank you for the patience. And we're on to the floor being open for the next motion.
Your Honor,
Yes, sir. That's correct.
number 7. On your list.
Got it?
The Lee County ZBA finds that the petition is in compliance with the current Lee County zoning ordinance 10-15-15, section D for wind energy systems because the blade clearance of either WTG model contemplated for use in the development will be more than 15 feet from the ground.
Okay, do I hear a second? Second, debate on motion, your motion, Mr. Brett.
No comment.
Okay, any other board member wish to debate the motion? Seeing no indication of desire to do so, I will put the question. The question being put is whether the Lee County ZBA finds that the petition is in compliance with the current Lee County zoning ordinance 10-15-15, section D for wind energy systems because the blade clearance of either WTG model contemplated for use in development will be more than 15 feet from the ground. Adoption of this motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. The motion is unanimously adopted. Okay, floor is again open.
Mr. Facilitator,
Yes,
number
Mr. Hughes.
8. The Lee County ZBA finds that the petition is in compliance with the current Lee County zoning ordinance 10-15-15, section E, for wind energy systems, because the petitioner has promised that the WTG tower access will be controlled by a 6-foot fence, anti-climbing devices, and a shock hazard sign with required location. That is my motion.
Do I hear a second? Hearing a second, the floor is open for debate. Your motion, Mr. Hughes.
No further.
Any other board member comment or question? Seeing no indication of desire to do so, I will put the question. The question being put is whether the Lee County ZBA finds that the petition is in compliance with the current Lee County zoning ordinance 10-15-15, section E, for wind energy systems. Because the petitioner has promised that WTGX tower access will be controlled by a 6-foot fence, anti-climbing devices, and a shock hazard sign with the required verbiage. Passage of this motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by nay. The motion is adopted. Okay, floor is again open.
I would like to make motion number 9. However, I need a clarification for part of this regarding section H. We are addressing the height or the setbacks on the installation. I believe that we also, under section H, but I am not positive, include the setbacks from public buildings as well as residential platted subdivisions. So I just want to clarify whether that's in that section or a subsequent section.
I think now's a good time for a break. I think that's a good question of your fine state's attorney, and it's also a perfect time for a break. Let's take till 20 after. Well, by that clock, that's fine, yeah.
It's not on here, it's so cool.
What I used for the second.
Yeah.
Ren, I'm asking, you can't
Yeah, you can't see.
see as well.
Because we've been using those, in their petition provides for application. Sure. So I didn't want, it's, and the other part is the other setbacks relative to subdivisions and primary buildings, such as schools, churches. To get a handle on specifically what
normally we're not referencing, normally when we're doing stuff, we're not referencing specific sections. And that's 315. The height is, the height of the towers now. And we were using 1.1, 2.5, yeah, they were around, sure. So. It's not part of the work. Courtney?
Yeah.
I know you were.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
But you also are putting stuff. Question. You have reason.
Yeah. The ordinance says the conditions previously imposed are 1.1.
Yeah. So do we deal with the ordinance? So at this point, should we deal with the ordinance facts right now and then put the 1.1 and 3.5 under conditions?
That's what I would say, is that the petition itself is compliant with the ordinance, you have the condition.
Right.
Uh-oh, what I do?
Because that,
We're talking about the
Oh, the undo? Yeah. You can do that.
Obviously, because I'm not an expert, I can get by, but
yeah,
I can tell you.
Yeah, I know. That's
We can go back.
And
I don't know how many
sure
times, but so yeah, go back. Keep on doing undo.
There are times I've done a whole document over.
other stuff.
Now, you made it.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, yeah,
great.
yeah, it is. It's not
That's
relevant
not-
right now.
Well,
but-
especially since we've been addressing it that way for the last couple of years now, at 1.2.5, so.
Yeah, I agree with that on that.
So right now, we'll address it under the current section and then deal with
Add
the
another condition.
other conditions.
Yes.
That's what I think.
Yep.
Okay.
Same thing.
Yeah, I already know that. And this stuff is all, yeah.
This is the-
Alice, are we on mute?
YouTube is always on.
Huh?
YouTube is always on.
Okay.
And what we were just talking about is
Do you know the password for Wi-Fi?
I don't.
Yeah, this thing just sucks the life out of it.
moving those. Moving those to conditions. Yeah. Ask Charlie. But he's- Special law,
Perfect.
Is that what you're looking for? Yeah, that's right. There's the private network, and that's where, password.
Glenn's got a question, that was more important than the password.
Sure, yeah. I'm not finding where we specifically have that either, so that probably ought to go.
Yeah, that's the conditions, yeah. That's it.
Yeah, okay, that simplifies some of that. My only
additions that we got.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. One more. Minute. Can't start early because the public thinks we're taking a break till then. So. Is anybody out there? Is anybody out there?
Yeah.
Okay. Huh? All righty, let's pick it up again. Now she got us back.
Yep.
Mr. Hughes, as far as I'm concerned, you have the floor.
Thank you. Number 9, the Lee County ZBA finds the petition is in compliance with the current Lee County zoning ordinance 10-15-15, section H, for wind energy systems. 1, because there would be no WEX structure in the proposed development constructed in a dedicated easement or roadway or within any ordinance setback unless such setback requirement has been waived by the property owner. 2, because there is no proposed installation of a WTG within 350 feet of any property line unless such property line, the property owner has waived the 350-foot buffer and there is no proposed WTG within 350 feet of of a dedicated roadway, railroad right-of-way, or right-of-way for overhead electrical transmission or distribution lines. That would be my motion.
All right, do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing a second. The floor is open for debate. Mr. Hughes, it's your motion.
No further comment.
Okay, any other board member wishing to address the motion? Seeing none, I will put the question. The question being put is whether the Lee County ZBA finds that the petition is in compliance with the current Lee County zoning ordinance 10-1515 section H for wind energy systems. 1, because there would be no WEX structure in the proposed development constructed in a dedicated easement or roadway or within any ordinance setback unless such setback requirement has been waived by the property owner, section H.1. Because there is no proposed installation of a WTG within 350 feet of any property line unless such property owner has waived that 350-foot buffer, and there is no proposed WTG within 350 feet of any dedicated roadway, railroad right-of-way, or right-of-way for overhead transmission or distribution lines. Adoption of the question requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. The motion is unanimously adopted. All right, floor is once again open.
Chairman,
Mr. Burrow.
I move that number 10, the Lee County ZBA finds that the petition is in compliance with the current Lee County zoning ordinance 10-15-15, section 1,
I think that's an aye.
I, for wind energy systems, because a pre-construction modeling sound study results are that no residences in the area of the proposed WEX development will receive an exceedance of the Illinois Pollution Control Board's noise standards. That's the motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing a second, the floor is open for debate. Your motion, Mr. Burrow, anything you want to say about it?
Thank you.
Any other board member? Seeing no hands raised or any other sounds, I will put the question. The question being put is whether the Lee County ZBA finds that the petition is in compliance with the current, Lee County zoning ordinance 10-15-15, section I for wind energy systems, because a pre-construction modeling sound study results are that no residences in the area of the proposed WEX development will receive an exceedance of the Illinois Pollution Control Board's noise standards. Adoption of the motion requires a majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. All right. I open the floor.
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Brett, number 11. the Lee County ZBA finds that should a residence receive an IPCD exceedance, the petitioner did propose an appropriate complaint resolution or mitigation plan.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing a second. Floor is open for debate. Mr. Pratt, you get the first crack at your own motion. Any other board member? Seeing no indication to make a comment, I put the question. The question being put is whether the Lee County ZBA finds that should a residence receive an IPCB exceedance, the petitioner did propose an appropriate complaint resolution or mitigation plan. Adoption of the motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. The motion is adopted. Oops. Okay, floor is open.
Okay. Number 12.
That's still, it's still big enough to see, isn't it?
Yep. The Lee County ZBA finds that the petition is in compliance with the current Lee County zoning ordinance 10-15-15, section J, for wind energy systems, because during construction and operation, petitioner has indicated that it will comply with IDOT's provision of the Illinois Administrative Code section regarding aviation safety. That is the motion.
Do I hear a second? Hearing a second. The floor is open for debate. Mr. Using, supplementary motion.
No addition.
Any other board member wish to address the motion? Seeing no indication of willingness or want to do so, I'll put the question. The question being put is whether the Lee County ZBA finds that the petition is in compliance with the current Lee County zoning ordinance 10-15-15, section J for wind energy systems, because during construction and operation, the petitioner has indicated that it will comply with IDOT's provisions of the Illinois Administrative Code section regarding aviation safety. Adoption of the motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Another motion adopted unanimously. Trying to think of new ways to say this. So back at it, gentlemen.
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Look at number 13. The Lee County ZBA finds that the petition is in compliance with the current Lee County zoning ordinance 10-15-15, section K for wind energy systems, because the petition indicates that all electrical wires and lines will be located underground.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing a second. Floor is open for debate. Any you want to address on your own motion, Mr. Pratt? No. Any other board member wanting to address, raise your hand or make a noise? Seeing or hearing none, I will put the question. The question being put is whether the Lee County ZBA finds that the petition is in compliance with the current Lee County zoning ordinance 10-15-15, section K for wind energy systems, because the petition indicates that all electrical wires and lines will be located underground. All those adoption of the motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion is indeed adopted. Okay, gentlemen, the floor is all yours.
Mr. Facilitator,
Yes, sir.
number
Mr. Burrow.
14. The Lee County ZBA finds that the petition is in compliance with the current Lee County zoning ordinance 10-1515, section I, L. For the wind energy systems because, number one, the petitioner has indicated that either the proposed WTGs are designed with automatic overspeed control to render the system inoperable when winds are blowing in excess of the speeds for which the machine is designed. Section 1. Number two, petitioner has indicated that either of the proposed WTGs is a manually operated operable method to render the system inoperable in the event of a structural or mechanical failure of any part of the system, including the overspeed control, section L2. Number three, petitioner has indicated that either of the proposed WTGs are designed with automatic control to render the system inoperable in case of loss of utility power to mechanical wax, supplying power to a de-energized electrical distribution system, section L3. That concludes the motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Having heard a second, the floor is open for debate. Mr. Burrow, you get the first whack at your own motion.
No, thanks, sir.
Any other board member? Seeing none, I will put the question. The question being put is whether the Lee County ZBA finds that the petition is in compliance with the current Lee County zoning ordinance 10-15-15 section L for wind energy systems. Because one, the petitioner has indicated that either of the proposed WTGs are designed with an automatic overspeed control to render the system inoperable when winds are blowing in excess of the speed for which the machine is designed, section L1. Two, the petitioner has indicated that either of the proposed WTGs have a manually operable method to render the system inoperable in the event of a structural or mechanical failure of any part of the system, including the overspeed control, section L2. Third, the petitioner has indicated that either of the proposed WTGs are designed with an automatic control to render the system inoperable in case of loss of utility power to prevent WEX from supplying power to a de-energized electrical distribution system, section L3. Adoption of this motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Motion is adopted unanimously. Moving on.
Let's go with number 15. Character of the land. The Lee County ZBA finds that the character of the land within the footprint of the proposed Shady Oaks 2 development is predominantly agricultural.
Oops. Lee. Predominant. Can't spell it. Oh my God. I-N-A-T-E. Okay, there you go. Good Lord. Get rid of the bold. I don't know why that really did. Okay, Mr. Hughes, I've been fooling around enough. Does that look like your motion
Yes, sir.
now? Wow. Okay, do I hear a second? Hearing a second, the floor is open for debate on the motion. Your motion, Mr. Hughes.
No further comment.
Any other board member? Seeing none, I'll put the question being put is whether the Lee County ZBA finds that the character of the land within the footprint of the proposed Shady Oaks 2 development is predominantly agricultural. Do you mind if I put, we accept a friendly LLC to Mr. Hughes?
That's fine.
Adoption of the motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. The motion is adopted unanimous. Sorry about that, gentlemen. Took too long. Back to you.
Your Honor, number 16. The character of the land is predominantly agricultural.
But I can spell
But the petitioner did not provide an executed version of the statutorily required agricultural impact mitigation agreement for Lee County ZBA.
Okay, as soon as I finish cleaning up the formatting, you tell me if that, oops. Tell me if that reflects your, that look right? Okay. Do I hear a second? Hearing a second, the floor is open for debate. Mr. Pratt, you may comment on your own motion. Any other board member want to address this motion? Seeing none, I will put the question. The question being put is whether and I'm going to have to ask you to accept this.
It should say the Lee County Village.
You can tell when I did one late at night, can't you?
I'm sure that's how it's spelled, Perry.
Yeah,
That's right.
but after my last performance, you were freedom. All right. And Mr. Pratt, do you have any comment on his own motion? Did any other board member have a comment? No, it's cleaned up. All right. Hearing none, I will put the question. The question being put is whether the Lee County ZBA finds the character of the land is predominantly agricultural, but the petitioner did not provide an executed version of the statutorily required agricultural impact mitigation agreement to the Lee County ZBA. Adoption of this motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, the motion is unanimously adopted. Okay, moving on up.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Burrow, come on down.
17. I move the construction activity section, the Lee County ZBA finds that the petitioner has promised that the one construction of the west development will begin within 36 months. The special use permit approval by the Lee County Board. Number 2, No construction activity will begin before 6 AM. Continue after 9 PM on any day of the week within 1/4 mile of any non-participating landowner's residence without a waiver. Number 3, no blasting will occur without notification to any property owner within 1,500 feet of such a blasting site.
Thank you. Do I hear a second? Hearing a second, I will open the floor for debate. Mr. Burrow, your motion, anything you want to say about it?
Nothing, sir.
Okay, any other board member want to address the motion? Mr. Pratt?
I would like to suggest that if we, the Lee County ZBA finds that the petitioner has agreed that 1, 2, 3 instead of promise.
Is that a motion?
I make that motion.
And Mr. Pratt is making a motion that the word promised be replaced by agreed. Do I hear a second to that motion? Hearing a second. Any comment you want to make on your motion to amend, Mr. Pratt?
Just that they have agreed to do that. We're finding their promise.
Any other board member? Sorry. Hearing none, I'm going to put the question. The question being put is whether the main motion, the motion pending on the floor, will be amended to replace the word promised with the word agreed. Passage of the motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. The main motion is now amended to the word agreed. All right, we're back to the main motion. Now that it's been amended, Mr. Burrow, is your motion, any comment you want to make on it as of now was proposed? Any other board member?
Yes.
Mr. Hughes?
Actually, I've got a couple of comments on it, and I'm not sure that I'm ready to make a motion on it yet, but I just want to put those comments.
But the
out.
floor is for it.
The first item is not at this point, I guess, an agreed point, because they're asking for a waiver of the current criteria, which is 12 months. And until we decide whether or not we're going to agree to that waiver, I'm not sure that the first line of that, although they've indicated it, is, I don't believe that, since it's being requested to waive, is appropriate in there. And the other thing is in the third line, it's also stated in the application that any property owner officials of the township in which blasting is to occur, and Lee County zoning administrator would be notified. So I think from my standpoint, I would want to expand number 3 and eliminate number 1.
You make a motion and I'll try and.
Unless, before I make the motion, I just wanted to get any additional feedback.
Any other, yeah, pick Brennan. And yet, board members, he's asking for further debate.
I have no problem with the changes you're talking about. So the number 1 could be completely eliminated. The speaking about construction.
Well, now think about that. When you get to recommendations, you may want to talk about a recommendation, whether you're gonna.
Yes.
Yes.
But is it not true that that's what they said in their petition, and you want to ignore that?
Actually, if you go by the petition, they're going to start sooner. They're going to start sooner than that. So, and they're asking for a waiver of the current conditions. They haven't.
Okay.
So, I think we need to address that at a
Separately.
later condition.
Okay.
So I would. at this
So
time,
you
I
make
would
a motion, okay,
I would make a motion to eliminate item 1.
wait a minute.
Well,
Well, let's not interrupt, he's making a motion. Okay, so I'll get rid of that, right?
Yes. And I would expand what is now number 2 to state that no blasting will occur without notification to any property owner, officials of the township in which the blasting is to occur,
Wait a minute. Any property with 1,500 feet,
property owner, comma, officials of the township in which the blasting is to occur.
then it'll read township officials within 1,500 feet. You don't want to, I'm just putting make sure there's no confusion. So, township,
Okay, I see what, okay, yes, fine.
it actually modified that.
Yep, I understand.
Officials, whoops, that's just a typo. I can't spell official. Of the township in which the blasting is planned to, is that what you said?
I said is to occur, yeah. And Lee County zoning administrator.
Can you take a look at that?
You've got and between zoning and, should be Lee County zoning administrator.
No, I think she's actually,
Okay, zoning and planning
I
administrator.
think that's what she is.
Okay, all right. That's fine.
Can I just mention, if you were somebody who's gonna blast, what township official we gonna do, notify all of them? Is that what they said in their petition?
Yeah,
Okay, fair enough. All right, I've got a motion to amend, to reflect what's on the board, and that is the Lee County ZBA finds that the petitioner has agreed that no construction activity will begin before 6 a.m. or continue after 9 p.m. on any day of the week within 1/4 mile of any non-participating landowner's residence without a waiver. And no blasting will occur without notification to any property owner within 1,500 feet. Township officials of the township in which the blasting is planned to occur and the Lee County zoning and planning administrator of such blasting. So you're second. I've heard a second. Now, the motion is to amend the main motion so that if any debate on, Mr. Hughes made comments about it, but any further comment you want to make?
no, thank you.
Any other board member? Comment on the motion to amend? All right, seeing or hearing none, I will put the question. The question being put is whether the main motion should be amended to read, the Lee County ZBA finds that the petitioner has agreed that no construction activity will begin before 6 a.m. or continue after 9 p.m. on any day of the week within 1/4 mile of any non-participating landowner's residence without a waiver. 2, no blasting will occur without notification to any property owner within 1,500 feet, township officials of the township in which the blasting is planned to occur, and the Lee County zoning and planning administrator of such blasting site. Adoption of motion to amend is by majority vote. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. Motion carries. back to the main motion. Was that Mr. Pratt?
No.
Yes, yeah, it was. Yours is the main motion. Any further comment?
No.
Okay. Any other board member wish to address the motion as it's now amended? Seeing no indication of want to do so, I will put the question. The question being put is actually what I just read, but I'm going to do it again. The construction activity. The Lee County ZBA finds the petitioner has agreed that no construction activity will begin before 6 a.m. or continue after 9 p.m. on any day of the week within 1/4 mile of any non-participating landowner's residence without a waiver. 2, no blasting will occur without notification to any property owner within 1,500 feet, township officials of the township in which the blasting is planned to occur, and the Lee County Zoning and Planning Administrator of such blasting site. Adoption of the motion requires a vote by the majority. Vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. Hearing none, the motion is adopted unanimously. Next.
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Exhibit number 18.
Okay.
Aesthetics. The Lee County ZBA finds that the petitioner has agreed in his petition that, number 1, lighting on structures within the proposed development will be minimized while complying with existing applicable rules and regulations. Number 2, WTG's S's will be in white, gray, or another unobstructed color. 3, no advertising will be allowed on any of the development structures.
Motion.
That's number.
Second, do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing a second, debate. Mr. Pratt, anything in your own motion? No. Any other board member? Seeing none, I will put the question. The question being put is whether the Lee County ZBA finds that the petitioner has agreed in his petition that lighting on structures within the proposed development will be minimized while complying with existing applicable rules and regulations. WTGs will be painted white, gray, or another unobtrusive color. 3, no advertising will be allowed in any of the development structures. Adoption of the motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed by nay. Motion is adopted. Back to you.
Number 19. The Lee County ZBA finds that the shadow flicker modeling study performed by the approved expert Burns and McDonald reliably showed that there were 509 receptors that could possibly be affected by the WTGs within the development. The conservative approach model concluded that of the aforementioned 509 possible receptors, 458 would receive no annual shadow flicker. 31 would receive 1 to 9 hours of shadow flicker. 15 would receive between 10 and 29 hours of shadow flicker.
You keep saying, are you skipping the word annually? Want me to remove that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, for some reason.
That's okay. I just,
Yes, why I skipped it, I have no idea. And 5 would receive 30 hours or more of shadow flicker annually.
that looked like it.
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second? Hearing a second. Comments on your own motion, Mr. Hughes?
No comment.
Any other board member?
Your Honor.
Mr. Pratt?
He states reliably showed. I would like to make a motion that we change that wording to have shown.
Okay, that's a motion to amend.
Yes.
Let's see.
Have shown.
Like that?
Yep.
Okay, that's a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, hearing a second. Debate on the motion, Mr. Pratt?
I don't know if we need to make the opinion of between reliably or to shown. That's the reason I changed it.
Any other comment from another board member? Seeing or hearing none? Seeing or hearing none, I will put the question, and of course, this is on the motion to amend, whether or not the Lee County ZBA finds the shadow flicker modeling study performed by the approved expert Burns and McDonald has shown that there were 509 receptors that could possibly be affected by WTGs. Just a spelling. Within the development, a conservative approach model concluded that of the aforementioned 509 possible receptors, 458 would receive no annual shadow flicker, 31 would receive between 1 and 9 hours of annual shadow flicker, 15 would receive between 10 and 20 hours of annual shadow flicker, and 5 would receive 30 hours or more of annual shadow flicker. Adoption of the motion to amend requires a vote by the majority. Vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. All right, the main motion's back on the floor as I just read it. I forgot who made the motion. Mr. Pratt?
No.
Any other, Mr. Hughes? No, you made the motion to amend.
Right.
Mr. Pratt made the main
No,
motion.
no, you have that. I made this motion. She made the motion.
Okay, that's right, I'm sorry. Mr. Hughes, comment about your motion.
No further comment.
Okay, any other board member? Hearing none, I will put the question. The question being put is whether the Lee County ZBA finds that the shadow flicker modeling study performed by the approved expert Burns and McDonald has shown that there were 509 receptors that could possibly be affected by WTGs within the development. A conservative approach model concluded that of the aforementioned 509 possible receptors, 458 would receive no annual shadow flicker, 31 would receive between 1 and 9 hours of annual shadow flicker, 15 would receive between 10 and 29 hours of annual shadow flicker, and 5 would receive 30 hours or more of annual shadow flicker. Adoption of the motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by nay. Motion is adopted. And of course, the other correction I gotta make is no part of the motion was the footnote, so I will take that out. Of course. Let me get rid of the footnote. I got it. Okay, the floor is open again.
Judge,
Yes, sir.
number 20, I move that Lee County ZBA finds petitioner has proposed an appropriate remedial shadow flicker mediation plan for, number one, residences which will appear to receive between 10 and 29 hours of annual shadow flicker. Two, by shutting off pending WTGs during the times that residents would appear to receive 30 hours or more of shadow flicker.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing a second, floor is open for debate. Your motion, Mr. Burrow. Any other board member comments about the motion? Hearing none, I will, hearing no indication of wanting to do so, I will put the question being put is whether the Lee County ZBA finds that the petitioner has proposed an appropriate remedial shadow flicker mediation plan for residents, which will appear to receive between 10 and 29 hours of annual shadow flicker by shutting down offending WTGs during times that a residents would appear to receive 30 hours or more of shadow flicker. Adoption of the motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. Motion is adopted. Okay, gentlemen. The ball is in your court.
Your Honor, number 21. Make a motion that the Lee County ZBA finds that the petitioner has committed to being covered by a liability insurance policy, which the ZBA finds to be sufficient.
All right. Since there were a couple choices there, I'll ask if that looks correct first. Okay, second?
Second.
Hearing a second. Your motions, Brennan, anything you want to talk about? Okay, any other board member have a question or comment? Hearing or seeing none, I will put the question. The question being put is whether the Lee County ZBA finds the petitioner has committed to being covered by a liability insurance policy which the ZBA finds to be sufficient. Passage of the motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. The motion is adopted. Unanimous. Okay. Okay means next up.
All right, we'll move on to 22. Indemnity. The Lee County ZBA finds that the petitioner has specifically indicated in its petition that it will defend, indemnify, and hold Lee County and its officials harmless from and against claims and expenses, including attorney's fees arising out of the acts or omissions of Shady Oaks 2 LLC's operation of this WEX development.
And I will ask for a second. Hearing a second, Mr. Hughes, any comment you want to make on your motion?
No further comment.
Anybody else want to address the motion? Seeing no indication to do so, I'll put the question. The question being put is whether the Lee County ZBA finds that the petitioner has specifically indicated in its petition that it will defend, indemnify, and hold Lee County and its officials harmless from and against claims and expenses, including attorney's fees arising out of the acts or omissions of Shady Oak 2 LLC's operation of this WEX development. Adoption of the motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. So those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. It is once again unanimous. Back at you, gentlemen. Judge number 23, decommissioning.
I move that Lee County ZBA find the petitioner as recognized that each real estate lease on which the project structure is located contains a decommissioning clause, that the ZBA was not made privy to any such clause.
Do I hear a second? Hearing a second, Mr. Burrow, you want to address, when we can comment about your own motion?
Nothing.
Any other board member?
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Craig, are you sure that they said that?
Yes, if I remember. Any question?
Just looking for clarification.
Sean's testimony.
I don't have any notes on it. And I don't think it's in the petition.
I think it's, I read it there, I did hear it.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking it was in Sean's testimony, because it was somebody that had asked a question about the decommission clause.
It's good policy.
He said he didn't have it available, but that it was in the leases. I'm sure that that was. 41.
I think she's giving me a page.
Maybe it's voted or something.
Each realtor on the lease signed to host the turbines include the decommission clause.
So I need it further.
That's legitimate, that's what debate's all about. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I will put the question being put is whether the Lee County ZBA finds that the petitioner has represented that each real estate lease on which a project structure is located contains a decommissioning clause, but the ZBA was not made privy to any such clause. Adoption of the motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Ball's in your court, gentlemen. Runners on base.
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
That's clue number 24. Communications. The Lee County ZBA finds that in its petition, the developer's expert, the approved expert, counselor, has appropriately analyzed the proposed development's effects on various communication services. Its conclusions are as follows. Number one, mobile home carriers, there would be no harmful effect. Number two, land, mobile, and emergency service, there is no expected effect. That is A. B, if there is an effect, the petitioner has promised it would address the same in a commercially reasonable manner. Number three, communication towers, no effect as the nearest WTG to such a tower is 1.5 kilometers. Number four, AM or FM radio stations, there will be no impact. Number five, television. If there is any communication interference, it is reasonable to conclude that com searches analysis suggests television signals would be the most likely communication service to be compromised. regarding the same. A, cable and direct satellite protocols would not be impacted. B, off-air TV stations within 150 miles of the project are the most likely to be affected. And C, the petitioner has promised that, the petitioner has agreed that upon receiving a TV reception written complaint from any property owner within a 1 mile radius of the development boundary, it will respond within 10 working days and use any commercially reasonable effort to mitigate the problem. That's my motion.
Okay, second.
Second.
Or a second. That was a long motion. Mr. Brett, do you want to address any part of it?
No.
Okay. Other board member, question, comment, criticism, complaint, or none of the above? Seeing no indication of desire to do so, I will put the question. The question being put is whether the Lee County ZBA finds that in its petition, developer's expert, the approved, how about a very friendly amendment to take out one of the experts there, Mr. Brad, is it okay? Yes. I now know why you stumbled over it. The developer's approved expert ComSearch has appropriately analyzed the proposed development's effect on various communication services. Its conclusions are as follows. Mobile phone carriers, there would be no harmful effect. Land, mobile, and emergency services, there is no expected effect. If there is an effect, the petitioner has promised to address the same in a commercially reasonable manner. 3, communication towers, no effect as the nearest WTG to such a tower is 1.5 kilometers. 4, AM or FM radio stations, there would be no impact. 5, television, if there is any communication interference, it is reasonable to conclude that ComSearch's analysis suggests television signals would be the most likely communication service to be compromised. Regarding the same, cable and direct satellite protocols would not be impacted. B, off-air television stations within 150 miles of the project are the most likely to be affected. C, the petitioner has agreed that upon receiving a TV reception written complaint from any property owner within a 1 mile radius of the development's boundaries, it will respond within 10 working days and use any commercially reasonable efforts to mitigate the problem. Adoption of this motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. The motion carries. And move it back. Okay. Onward and upward.
Okay, moving on to number 25, environment. The Lee County ZBA finds that the Illinois Department of Natural Resources, IDNR, has indicated that there are no state-listed endangered or threatened species, Illinois natural inventory sites, or nature preserves within the footprint of the proposed development. 2, there is no need for any further consultation.
That's the motion. Do I hear a second? Bring a second. Any comment on your own motion, Mr. Hughes?
No comment.
Any other board member? Seeing none, I will put the question. The question being put is whether the Lee County ZBA finds that the Illinois Department of Natural Resources, IDNR, has indicated that there are no state-listed endangered or threatened species, Illinois natural inventory sites, or nature preserves within the footprint of the proposed development. development. 2, there is no need for any further consultation. Adoption of the motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. The motion is adopted. Okay. Back at you.
Mr. Facilitator,
Yes, sir.
number 26 on property values, the Lee County ZBA finds that sufficient expert evidence was presented that the proposed development would not have a negative impact on property values within the area of the proposed project.
A couple of alternatives in there, make sure I get them right. That look right now. Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing a second, I will ask for comments on the motion. You're first, Mr. Motion Maker, Burrow.
Okay.
Any other board member comment? Okay, hearing none, seeing none, I will put the question. The question being put is whether the Lee County ZBA finds that sufficient expert evidence was presented that the proposed development would not have a negative impact on the property values within the area of the proposed project. Adoption of the motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. Motion is adopted. Another first down. First down, 10 to go.
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
number 27. Tax revenue and jobs. Lee County ZBA finds that the proposed project will increase area employment during the construction phase, thus helping local economy. Number 2, the Lee County ZBA finds that participating landowners will realize an economic benefit from the development. Number 3, the Lee County ZBA finds that a decision to recommend or not recommend approval of the petition is not based on an increase or decrease in revenue tax
Okay, do I hear a second? Hearing a second. Aye. Mr. Pratt, anything you want to say about your own motion?
I think number 3 is a very important statement for the board.
Any other board member?
Just the Scribner's,
For
number 2,
Yes, sir.
and those who realize and.
Thank you. Okay, any other? All right. Hearing none, I will put the question. The question being put is whether the Lee County ZBA finds that the proposed project will increase area employment during the construction phase, thus helping the local economy. The Lee County ZBA finds that participating landowners will realize an economic benefit from the development. 3, the Lee County ZBA finds that a decision to recommend or not recommend approval of a petition is not based on an increase or decrease in revenue for Texan bodies. Adoption of the motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Another one like this.
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
28, drainage. The Lee County ZBA finds that the petitioner has agreed that it will repair any damage it does to drainage tiles within 10 working days and to ditches and waterways as soon as possible, but in no event no longer than 6 months.
That looked like a motion up there.
Except he said that it will be fair, not if, it will be.
You should have said that. Yep, thank you. Anything else? Okay, is that your motion?
Yes.
Second?
The-
Debate. Mr. Brett, you want to address your, Brett, you want to address your own motion?
No.
Okay, any other board member? Hearing or seeing none, I will put the question. The question being put is whether the Lee County ZBA finds that petitioner has agreed it will repair any damage it does to drainage tiles within 10 working days and to ditches and waterways as soon as possible, but in no event longer than 6 months. That was before. Adoption of the motion requires a vote by the majority. The vote will be by voice. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. The motion is adopted. Okay, gentlemen, maybe a couple more on that stuff.
Actually, Ron, I was gonna suggest that it, considering the time and the fact that several of these following will require.
Thank you.
something of a
Thank you,
fill in the
Mr.
blank.
I'm not have to say anymore. That's, I'm wearing out. So, and I think you guys need to remember some of the things
Yes.
we sort of put on hold, so that'd be great. The 23rd, which is a week from yesterday, Tuesday, right? Yeah, sort of talked about. Is everybody still available 23rd? That's a week from yesterday or 6 days from today. Mr. Bothie, okay? Mr. Burrow, Mr. Forster, Mr. Pratt, great. Ladies and gentlemen that are watching, we will. I will recess this session until next Tuesday night, June 23rd, beginning at 7 o'clock here in the old Lee County Courthouse. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. How do you recommend, what do you think on how the fee should handle it? More like you usually do or what?
Well, a little bit, except that there's some of them that are easier to fill in the blank than others.
Yes, there are.
No, I think those are gonna be things that when we get into most miscellaneous specifics, just like when we do the other things, and we get into the conditions at the end. I think in number 35 or number 36, we're gonna have multiple